Hi, boys and girls. We are going to learn our vocab for our new unit on objects and motion. Our very first word is a very important word. It is the word balanced forces. Say balanced forces. Good. Balanced forces are forces on an object that do not change the motion of the object. So it means that the force is being applied in more than one place and the force is balanced, meaning it's equal on both sides. It's not moving. So you can see in this picture right here that there are two people and they're both moving in opposite directions, but they're moving with the same amount of force, okay? They're both pulling with the same amount of force. And you can see that with the arrows above. Because they're both pulling with that same amount of force, neither one of them is moving. They have a balanced force. There's no motion going on. Balanced forces are going to be a really important topic this unit. Our next word is the word, let me go to it, is the word direction. A direction is a line or a course along with something is moving. So let's spell it. D-I-R-E-C-T-I-O-N. Direction. Direction is one of our vocab words because we know that when a force is applied, so a push or a pull, it can actually change the direction that something is moving. If I have my phone sitting on my hand here and I'm not doing anything, it's not moving, right? It has a balanced force. But if I apply a force like this, if I apply a push, I could change the direction of that phone. I can move it this way, this way. Forces would change directions of objects. Our next word is the word evidence. Say evidence. Good. Let's spell it. E-V-I-D-E-N-C-E. Evidence is just information that supports an idea. So we can come up with evidence that proves that that gravity exists because we know that when I drop something or if I let go of something, it will fall to the ground, okay? Evidence is just information that will support an idea. And in science, those could be ideas about certain scientific theories. Our next word is the probably most important word this unit, and it is force. Say force. Good. Let's spell it. F-O-R-C-E. A force is a push. Do this. A push or a pull. Now do a pull. And that push or that pull will do a couple different things. It could cause the object to move. So a push could push my phone away. It could also pull my phone closer to me. It could cause something to stop, right? Especially if there's a balanced force going on. Okay, so if I push and someone else pushes and we have a balanced force, it could cause that object to stop. Or it could cause something to change direction. Imagine that there was a car crash and two cars were going, towards each other and they hit each other. It could cause one to kind of change direction and, spin out and go some other way. Okay. It could cause something to change direction. Force. Our next word is the word measure. Say the word measure. Good. You can see here they have a measuring tape. There are a lot of different things that we can measure with. We know this from math, but scientists use measurements all the time. And this unit, we're going to be talking about how we can measure different forces that are being applied to different objects. We're also going to talk about how sometimes there's patterns in motion and how we can measure those as well. So measuring is just to determine the amount or the size of something. Our next word is the word motion. Say the word motion. Good. You'll notice that there's no SH in this, even though you hear the shun sound or the sh sound. So shun comes from that T-I-O-N. So let's spell it together. M-O-T-I-O-N. Motion. Now, motion is just how an object moves from one place to another, okay? Something could have a fast motion or a slow motion. You've probably heard of slow-mo before. That's just that's just an abbreviation for motion, okay? Motion is just that movement that's occurring, okay? Our next word is the word observe, and you can see this little boy with a hand lens. Observe means to use your senses to examine something, so look really closely at it, or to inspect something, which again means to look really closely at it. So this unit, we have a lot of really cool labs that we're going to be doing, and we're going to have to really observe, which means look closely at some different patterns that we see related to forces and motion, okay? Our next word is the word pattern. Say the word pattern. Good. Let's spell it. P-A-T-T-E-R-N. Pattern. A pattern is a design or a sequence that's repeated. Now, we think of patterns a lot like the one in the picture. This would be an ABC pattern because it goes red, yellow, green, red, yellow, green. You probably remember AB patterns from like kindergarten. In science, we have a lot of patterns and they look a little bit different than this, okay? It's not going to be like seashell, acorn, seashell, acorn. That's not the type of thing we're talking about in science. In science, we're talking about patterns like what do we continuously see, or what is something that we see over and over again in our scientific world. So for example, in fourth grade, you're going to learn about how there are patterns where you can find volcanoes. Like volcanoes occur in patterns. Like you're going to see volcanoes in certain areas and not in other areas. When we're talking about objects in motion, there are patterns when we talk about observing motion. Think about a swing. If a kid is swinging on a swing, there is a pattern, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. When we're talking about a seesaw on the playground, there's a motion, there's a pattern in that motion, up and down, up and down, up and down. There are patterns all around us when we're talking about objects in motion. Our next one is the word speed. Say speed. Good. Let's spell it. S-P-E-E-D, speed. Speed is just the rate of motion. That means like how fast something is moving or how slow something is moving. The rate means like how much of it is happening in a certain amount of time. So something could have a really fast speed or something could have a really slow speed. For instance, if we have a ramp and we are rolling a ball down the ramp, right? If the ramp is really short, the speed of the ball is not going to be as quick. If we make that ramp really high, it's going to be moving pretty fast. The speed would be much faster. Our next word is the word strength. Say strength. Good. Show me your muscles. I don't really have good muscles, but that's okay. Strength is your word. Strength is just how strong something is. So we know that something's strength will kind of determine the amount of force that is being applied. So if you have a bodybuilder, someone who's really, really strong, and they're pushing on an object, their strength is going to be resulting in a lot more force being applied than if a baby were trying to push the same thing, right? They don't have as much strength. They're not going to apply as much force. Our next word is the word unbalanced force. Say unbalanced force. Good. Unbalanced forces are like kind of the opposite of balanced forces. We said balanced was when there's an equal amount of force in both directions. We had that example of the two people pulling that rope, okay, and they weren't moving at all. For unbalanced forces, it means that there are forces in an object that actually cause the motion or a change in motion of that object, meaning that something is moving. If it's unbalanced, you're going to see movement, okay, because it means that there's not the same amount of force. If I am just touching my phone like this, it's not moving, right? This would be balanced. Now, if I then set it down and I go like this with my hand, right? I'm using more force with this hand and I'm causing a change in motion. There's movement happening. So that would be an unbalanced force, right? The force of this phone pushing back on me is much less than the force of my hand pushing it. There's movement because my one force was more than the other force, okay? Unbalanced force. We're gonna really focus on forces, balanced forces, and unbalanced forces this unit. So if they're a little bit confusing to you right now, that's okay. We'll practice them a lot more this whole unit.